welcome back. My name's Faye and this is my YouTube. It's my little space to show off all of my wedding photography work behind the scenes for other wedding photographers or videographers wanting to just get more of a vibe for the industry, I guess. At the moment, alongside weddings, I'm running a course called Align, which is for people who have lost their spark with their business a little bit and they're wanting to reconnect. Doors are not open. They will not be open until October time for it to come back. However, I am coming here and sharing interviews that have been taking place throughout the course, and this one is going to be with the amazing Andrew Keher, one of my favourite social media accounts. Andrew is amazing. I won't introduce him because I'm going to do that on the call, but yeah, enjoy some sneak peeks from our conversation. This is not the full conversation because as well as the interview, the guests of the course get to ask questions, and we actually had like a good half an hour discussion with Andrew off the back of this, but I've kept that private for, just respect for my lovely guests. But yes, do have a look, stick around, enjoy, and hopefully subscribe so I'll see you again soon. Module 1 of Align is all about finding your power, and the reason why I wanted to speak to Andrew is because he will be the first person to say that a few years ago he was like a big butt down with everything and was like not really understanding his place in the industry anymore, which I'm sure we're going to talk about more over the conversation. The reason why I wanted you on, Andrew, is because you found your at a time when everybody's saying there's no weddings. Everybody's saying that you can't make money at the moment. It's harder than ever. There's a lot of negativity at the moment in the industry. And I just think that if your attitude's good and you work hard, there's plenty of work for everybody. I really do. And I feel like Andrew is a very vocal person in the industry in a really lovely, gentle, positive way that just embodies that. Can you introduce?
So my name is Andrew Keher. It rhymes with beer. It's like the car as well, except it's spelled completely differently. And I've been a wedding photographer since 2013. So it feels like a long time. And I've photographed all over the place. I've shot now about 400 weddings or so. I stopped counting a couple of years ago, and I generally shoot in the UK, but I have shot weddings in Italy and Spain and France, Iceland, Morocco, Cyprus, and America and various other places, shooting all these fabulous weddings and working across Europe and I don't know, being kind of successful in the sense that I charged what I wanted to charge, and I was winning all those lovely awards that people like to post about on their Instagram from various groups. And I suppose I thought I was pretty good. I thought I was pretty good at what I did. However, I built up my wedding business based on this idea of as documentary as you can go. So I wasn't into the editorial style. I was not into the posing my couples at all, if I could get away with it. Everything was very much as it happened. And that's what I fell in love with. And that's what kept me coming back to the weddings every week. I was never quite sure what I was going to get. And I started to believe my own hype in about 2019, 2020. And I thought that my work, my photographs were that fantastic that I didn't have to do anything to keep my clients coming in. I honestly thought if people see my photographs, then they're going to book me because I'm the best photographer in the UK. That's pretty much how my brain was working a few years ago. And that is just about the worst business strategy that you can have as a small business owner. I was completely in love with my own work. I would hear nothing bad said about it at all. And if people would try and suggest better ways of doing things, more proactive things, networking with venues, tagging people in, going to wedding fairs, pushing myself on social media a little bit more, updating my website more than once every 6 months. I thought, no, that's for normal photographers. That's for regular people. I'm too good. I'm gonna get through this. This is just a blip. And then that blip went on for about 2 years until I was the beginning of 2024, end of 2023, started 2024. And I think I had 3 weddings booked in for last year, and I usually aim for about 20 to 25. So I've never shot huge numbers, but to be at 10% capacity was not looking great for paying bills.
Do you mind me asking, at this point, had your prices recently gone up, or had you been at the same prices for a while?
No, well, my price has fluctuated with whatever mood I was in at that particular time. As I say, I had no business strategy. I had no clue. I just kind of bounced off where I saw other photographers in the hierarchy, and I aligned myself with who I thought I was with. And I had no market research to back that up. I had no strategy. I had no system. It was just post pretty pictures and hope that people would get in touch. And it wasn't working. And staring at the barrel of a 2024 with no weddings on, I thought, okay, I think just being an amazing photographer who's obviously the best in the world might not be enough to pay the mortgage this year. So I had to try something else. And these newfangled things called reels had reared their head about 3 years previously, but I'd never got involved. Social media was not my speciality at all. I hate my voice. I hate my face. I was the mysterious creative artist who was posting his photographs, often with a nice line of poetry, because I didn't have anything meaningful to say. And that was how I did social media.
It's just cracking me up because it's like what you're basically saying is what happens to so many people. It's that common thing, isn't it, that happens where people get into really bad habits. They don't feel like they need to do
Yes.
anything different. And but now, obviously, right, we're going to go back a little bit because we are going to talk about social media a bit later on.
Yeah.
But I think you've just spoken about something that I really want to zoom in on. When you were talking about a lot of the things that you had in your brain about the kind of photographer that you were and you were really confident and all this stuff, the transition from being really confident, I know you like a lot of it is in jest as well, like, but that transition from feeling really good about your work to feeling like you're not supporting your family, that must have been really quite hard for you. How long did it take you to start thinking, oh fuck, like I really need to do something about this. This isn't
Oh,
okay.
it was a slow build up. It was a slow build up throughout 2023. That feeling of anxiety in the pit of your stomach that not everything is going the way that you want it to go, but with that weird kind of hopeful optimism that it's all going to come good, except that I still didn't want to get off my arse and go to a wedding fair. I still didn't want to network with a venue. I didn't want to do a styled shoot. I didn't want to engage with the community very much. I thought
May
that,
I ask as well,
oh,
can at this point, do you feel like the people around you, because I'm not just being stereotypical, but it's giving Facebook that hate editorials and fashion and style shoots. Were you in like a community with people that were singing from the same hymn sheet, or was it just you?
I've never had, I'm a little bit weird maybe, but I've never been one of those photographers who dislikes a certain thing. I do focus on what I love to do. So for me, and I've said this to a lot of people, if people if they've got the time to complain about something, it's because they're not busy enough, because they've got their own things to worry about. And I was very quick to give that advice out to other people. Just worry about yourself. Just work on your own business. I didn't follow my own advice. And so it's not that I disliked editorial stuff, because I followed photographers who would do that kind of stuff. I love the look. I've massively incorporated it into my style over the last few years, but I didn't want to join the community, if you like. I was
Just to
still,
put yourself in a box.
yeah, I was
Put your
still
corporate
stuck in
box.
this ego driven phase where I thought I was good enough and my photographs were good enough to do the work of a business. To replace that business knowledge, I thought showing a few photographs will be enough. I don't need to go and do all that stuff. But the Facebook groups full of cranky photographers
I
are
mean, it just wondered like if it was because I've heard stories from other friends who've recently like separated themselves from the communities that they were in because we're all a victim of our environment, right? So if
yeah,
we're around people that are being quite negative about stuff, it's quite easy to get sucked into it and just find yourself.
absolutely. For me, I like being in those Facebook groups because I like the drama and I like to watch what goes on. But you are quite right. The more that miserable people talk about stuff, and I'll take wedding content creators as an example. The people who are now, they've created their own niche in the market. There's so much negativity towards that in the Facebook groups that I'm a part of. It sent me completely to the other end of the spectrum, where I'm looking forward to working with content creators this year, and I want to link up with them and I want to network with them, because the more I see that miserable attitude in those groups, and you're absolutely right, it is generally in the Facebook groups. so miserable, so negative. So it possibly was a large influence on where I went after that. Because although I was caught in a little bit of a downward spiral and I was in the grip of feeling sad about my business not going well, I'm still me, I'm still an upbeat person, I'm still quite positive. I just had a little problem with ego and I thought I was better than I was. It had really nothing to do with anyone else. It was not,
I don't think it's that you weren't
yeah,
good. I think it's just that the market had changed and you'd not adapted. I don't feel like your skills have never not been amazing.
absolutely.
It's just
You're right. Yeah,
we are a service-based business. If our service is not solving the problems of our clients, then it's redundant. And there's people with loads and loads of skill, but they're just not shifting. And it's not that you
absolutely.
have to do reels and it's not that you have to do this. Everybody will have stuff that fits within their like comfy space
Yeah.
that people need. It's just that transition, isn't it, to finding what is. So when you realized that you needed to do something different, we won't talk about social media yet,
Yeah.
but was there anywhere at the beginning where you were thinking about what you wanted from life, or was it just I need to make more money? Like when did it change from what I need from my business to be happy at home with my wife and my kids?
No, it was always, it's a good question. It's this fine balance, isn't it, between the joy that you get from creating something and making those people happy and being in the knowledge that you've taken this happy chaos and created something amazing from it. And you've got to balance that with paying the bills. And I think I was always hyper aware, despite being the artist. I needed to get my 20 weddings. I need to get them in,
Yeah.
but ever hopeful that they were just going to manifest. And I think when December hit and January hit and that rush didn't come, that rush that everyone has spoken about and that used to happen a few years ago for me as well, the rush in January, it never came. And I think that was the what carried me through the end of 2023 was the hope that if I can get to December, January,
Yeah.
it's going to be fine and I'll be able to get back to what I do. Lucy will be happy. Everything will be fine. January happened. December left. January happened, and was coming through like literally nothing. No inquiries, no referrals. That was the rocket up the bum. Yes.
But it's, I mean, one thing that I will say quickly is like money is not a vulgar topic. It's a business, it is a job. And I think you worded it really well then. Like, yes, we want to get fulfillment from our job, but it is still a job that needs to support our families and pay for our, and all this stuff. So it's always a delicate balance. What I'm trying to get people into the headspace of within the course is that once you get everything right with your work and your message and your brand, it's a lot easier to connect with clients and charge sustainable rates. So how did you work out how many weddings you needed to do, what you needed to charge, what you were happy putting into packages? Like what did that process look like for you?
Oh, so that was a little bit more scientific. That was literally a sit down with my better half, and we worked out, okay, Lucy does this, I need to do that. And if I can contribute the 20 times
Whatever it is.
two-ish, I think I need to aim for, and it doesn't sound a lot in the grand scheme, but between 40 and 50,000 would do me well. So I divided that up into my 20, 25 weddings. And obviously you get a smaller one, you get a bigger one, you get an album. So it roughly usually worked out at about 20 weddings, 20 to 25 weddings, which enabled me to take the kids to school, pick the kids up from school, all that kind of stuff. So you also can't, you might have this on your list as well, but you can't put a monetary value on the time that you get to spend with your children as well. So that was a great thing at first, but it almost became a crutch for me when the work wasn't coming in. And I kept on thinking to myself, well, I can spend even more time with the children. I can do more stuff. And as I've always said, you can't put a price on that, but there does
But it's
come a point
working, it's
when
working sustainable means to you because it's not just sustainable in terms of what you need to be happy, it's what you need to support your family. So,
yeah,
yes, you get to see the kids more, but you're not paying as many bills. And then if you go too far the other way, you're not spending as much time with the kids. So, I think
yeah,
the biggest thing about module one, the module that we're in, is figuring out what you need from life to be happy and then what your business needs to look like to support that lifestyle.
yes,
So I genuinely don't think that you can know what you need your business to look like unless you know what you want from life. Like I didn't know
yeah,
I'm not traveling enough and working like blocking off every weekend in a month, it can't work for me because I know that if I don't have at least a week space every month where I could take a spontaneous trip, I'm failing because that's important to me.
Right. Yeah.
So let's like be a bit woo for a second. What does success look to you now? Like, what do those sustainable things look like in your real life, not business life, as we are here
I
today?
think you've just hit the nail on the head. To have the ability to, at the drop of a hat, do something and not, you always have to worry about money, but to just have that ability to say, we're going to go there and do this week, or my computer is breaking down, I can buy a new computer, or the
Yeah.
new lens that I needed. I think I've never, I mean, as you can probably tell, chasing 20, 25 weddings a year, I was never aiming to smash the VAT threshold and then to franchise myself and to have three photographers working for me, like some people I know went for in a big way,
Yeah.
and they'd set up second businesses for their albums and do all kinds of weird and
Yeah.
wonderful things. I just wanted to do enough so that I can make my contribution to the household, enjoy my time with my kids, go away when needed, occasionally buy the odd Viking drinking horn if I took the fancy, and that was always success to me. Just that, nothing crazy, just that security and that level of comfort.
Yeah, it's interesting for me because I thought I wanted, like, I hit the VAT threshold within 6 months of starting Faye. Like,
Yeah,
on paper, it looked amazing, but it wasn't profit, it was turnover. And I was doing all of this stuff. Whereas what's happened over the last couple of years is I've realized that actually my happiest space is on holiday with the boys. So
yes,
now I don't need to do as many weddings. I need to have more space. The priority is the space.
yeah,
You'll all go in the group, you'll all go through peaks and troughs of thinking, this is what I want in the next 6 months. This is what I want in the next 12 months. The great thing about being self-employed is if you know that that's subject to change, maybe you don't take on bookings 18 to 24 months in advance. Maybe you just, for the next few months, you just do a little bit further ahead so that you've got space to
Oh,
book
I am very 8 years ago, 7 years ago,
3 years
I
in advance.
cram every wedding possible. Now I am very happy to swerve weddings if they are even remotely close to another wedding that I've got, or maybe a little bit close to a birthday weekend or whatever
Yeah,
it happens
I'm
to
the
be.
same.
I'm happy to pass that on to somebody
I
else.
feel like it's so hard for me to say yes to a wedding now. I've got so many rules in my head, and it's just, and I kind of mentioned this before you came on the call. All you need to do is do one booking, and it's not a bad booking. There's nothing wrong with the couple, there's nothing wrong with the styling. Like, it's no one thing in particular. It's just every lesson that you get, you then think, I'm not going to make that mistake again. And you change
Yeah,
your rules and your boundaries, don't you, to
yeah,
figure out what sustainability looks like to you. Um,
absolutely.
so we went off on a bit of a tangent there. We love a woo tangent over.
Yes, sorry.
No, 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 this is brilliant. We're going to go back onto the business chat. So you realized what you needed from your business to be happy at home with Lucy and the kids and how many bookings you needed and all that stuff. So how did you go from basically broke to booked? What did you put in place to change the setups and get the bookings again?
Am I allowed to mention social media?
You are, you are.
Okay, okay. Because I don't, I have nothing else. There's nothing else in the tank. That's literally what happened. And then,
Say nothing else, like you're not the oracle of Instagram. Like you're allowed to flex a little bit. This is good.
so yeah, I knew that I had to do something. I knew that despite being the world's best photographer, I had to start getting my work in front of people more. And can I mention one more failure? Can I mention another
Yeah, you
failure
can
before
talk.
that?
The floor is
So
yours.
I got this fabulous bounce back loan during COVID and spent it on a new camera because I thought that if I have another new camera, that will make more people come and book me. And then when that didn't work, I thought, well, I know what the problem is. I don't have a fancy website with a coherent brand. So I spent another £5,000 getting my website done. And because I didn't understand that branding is not fonts and colors and the words that you use, but branding is that gut feeling that people get about you, I threw money at the problem. And I got this wonderful new website that is pretty meaningless because I didn't have a clear idea of who
Wasn't
I
aligned
was.
at all.
It wasn't aligned at all, but it was there. I posted one story about it on Instagram. I've got a new website and I still didn't get any bookings. So, and I'd run out of money now because I've just spent it on a new camera and a new website. So I was running out of options.
So many people have done the same thing. And just to interrupt you very quickly, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry. There's two things that you've just picked up on there. One is you've been on this massive journey of self-discovery, which sounds so woo, but I think that that's so critical because so many of us just turn up and none of us have done this before. We don't know what a wedding photographer is supposed to do or what's supposed to look like. We're just aspiring to be these people that we look up to online. We don't know what their history
exactly.
is. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. One of his friends, won't name names, but they've just had one of the worst years of their life. But on the public face of it, everything's going on. And then behind closed doors, it's a complete shit show. We've got no idea what's going on with these people, but we aspire so much to be there when really what we need to be doing is just figuring out what we need. And then
Absolutely.
your brand is an extension of you. So if you don't know who you are, what you want from life, how are you supposed to connect with couples? All they're seeing
Exactly.
is this template wedding photographer. There's no personality, there's no connection because we're humans. We need that interact. We can tell when somebody's being fake with us, can't we? It's like
Yes.
an intrinsic feeling. So it sounds like you realized what you needed to do and you got there, which is good.
Yeah, I mean yeah, exactly what you've said. And the most important thing to remember is there is no council of wedding photographers. There is no
It's not
group of beings
like the
with
Wild
hoods
West
on,
out there,
and
you guys.
it's yeah, you've got no one to impress. You've got no one whose rules you need to follow. It took it. I wish I'd figured this out 5 years ago and not.
You wouldn't be where like I'm exactly the same. I wasted so much time in the beginning. Like I've been in weddings since 2017. I wasted so much time at the beginning just wanting everybody to love me. And now I'm like, well, I don't love everyone. And like not everybody's for everyone. And like
Yeah,
how much time do we waste just trying to fit in? And like it's that classic like high school thing, isn't it? We just want people to like our work and to fit in. And it just
that's
doesn't
it.
work like that because we're
That's
not
it.
for everybody and we're not the photographer for everybody either.
Yeah, that's what you just said there. That's a huge part of what everyone knows, but what I like when I figure things out for myself before I see other people saying it, I get very proud and I give myself a pat on the back. Despite me figuring things out, going on Instagram and then seeing 25 accounts all saying the thing that I've just figured out, I still give myself a pat on the back. But not being a photographer, everybody is such a vital part of everything I've done in the last 12 months. It's only 12 months, but it feels like a lot longer since I've been doing my thing. But we as photographers will spend an awful lot of time on our about me pages on our websites. And on those pages, we will write things like what coffee we like, what our dog's called, where we like to go on holiday. And we often say things on that about me page along the lines of there is the perfect photographer for everybody. Every photographer's different. We're looking for someone who aligns with us. We're looking for someone on our wavelength. And then when we meet these couples, I don't know if anyone else does this, but when I meet my couples, I say, this meeting in person, I go and have a beer with them in the pub. And I say, this meeting is so that you can see if we're on the same wavelength, because I only want to work with people who get me. And I'm sure you only want someone at your wedding who fits your idea of the perfect wedding day. And we have a beer. And if I'm not the perfect wedding photographer for you, it's a pint, and I will put you on to someone who fits you better. So we make all this noise about about everyone being different and about every photographer being unique. And then you go on Instagram and every photographer, and I'm painting a very broad brush here, but allow me, every photographer looks the same, says the same things, turns up every day with a lovely picture from Saturday that says, what an amazing day I had on Saturday at Sarah and John's wedding. It was beautiful. The weather was lovely. If you're getting married at Jim Hall in Lancashire, then please get in touch. Every day, post after post after
There's
post.
nothing to connect to. It's just sales.
It's sales.
There's nothing to connect. There's no
It's weak, mid, what's the word? Lukewarm. It's lukewarm sales, and it's sales that the photographer often doesn't know that they're trying to do. And it comes from this idea that you have to feed the algorithm, that you just have to post something, that you just have to get something on there. And this lukewarm bottom of the funnel weak selling, which is just to post a photograph and say that you had a lovely day and please get in touch with me. I understand now that this was a huge part of why I was failing in my business as well. I don't like selling to people. I hate that conversion. I was unwittingly, and I think most other photographers in my neck of the wood, we were all unwittingly selling with every post, and it's so boring, it's so dull, people are
Well, it gives
turned
you
off.
the itch, doesn't it? Like when we see it, when we see ads, there's something in our brain that just automatically doesn't like it. As soon as we see that word ad, we've switched off, and everybody knows it's the best business advice. The best marketing is not selling, it's just showing off your personality and then making people want to be around you. Yeah, we do this like call to action because we've seen it on a blog post and we
Yeah.
listen to a podcast with this, so we do that. And it's like Andrew said, very accidentally over time, all of a sudden you're just a generic call to action here, call
Every
to action
single
there.
post.
And
Every single
there's no
post.
personality anymore. We've lost who we are in the process. It's so sad.
So I was faced with this idea that I wanted to do. I needed to do more. I bought my new camera. I got my website. It was all going pear-shaped. So I thought, okay, I don't want to go to a wedding show. I hate them. I can't stand there and talk to people. It's a nightmare, or it was a nightmare at the time. So what else can I try? People keep banging on about these reels, getting your work in front of people. So let's experiment with them. Let's do something. So I'm not immune to what is trending, and I saw a lot of people pointing at things and saying, here's three tips if you're getting married in winter. So I took my dog and I wandered off into the forest with my camera on a little tripod, and I started pointing at things and saying, here's 3 tips if you're getting married in a castle. Except I didn't know what I was going to say. I was just pointing at things and recording them. And so I did that for a few days, and I came back and I tried to make them into reels. And the problem that I suddenly encountered, or the problem I realized, was that I meet all my couples in the pub and I have a pint because I think that one of my strongest abilities is to converse with people who I don't know and to find some common ground and to draw out what their expectations are, their hopes, their dreams for their wedding day, and then to describe how I might fit in with that. And I love to vibe. I hate that word. I love to
I
vibe
love that
with.
word.
I love to vibe, but it's such a good word. It works for
It's
everything.
such a good word. It works
So,
with everything.
so I like to vibe with my couples, and I like to play off them, and I like to find out who they are and what they do, and then I advise them on stuff. Oh my God, I'm throwing my microphone around, sorry. And the problem that I had was that I was in the woods with my dog looking at my mobile phone, and it's like, I don't know who I'm talking to. So who am I giving advice to? This is not how I work at all. This is no good. It came across false. It didn't stir anything within me. So I abandoned that after not too long, but I still thought that the reels had potential. I just had to do something that was more me. So I started experimenting with different things, and I've got a weird sense of humor. So I threw a few quirky things in there, and I decided to post every day in January because I do everything. If I'm going to do something, I have to do it all in, or I'm going to give up very quickly. So
I think most of us are like that, to be fair.
yeah,
Quite a creative trait.
when I was told that low carb was the way to go, I thought, well, I can't cut down the amount of toast that I have every day. I'm just going to go zero carb. So I went zero carb for 3 months because I couldn't just reduce it and be like a normal person. I have to go all in. And so I thought, I'm just going to go all in with this real stuff. I'm just going to do one every day and see what happens. And at the end of January, I lost 500 followers after I started posting my jokes and I started telling relatable things that other photographers liked, and I lost these 500 followers.
We all know now, obviously, that was because your audience was transitioning from people looking for a photographer that maybe had already got married and realized that they didn't need one to photographers. So it was like a completely different audience. So
Yeah,
of course you were going to
I'd built up this audience over 10 years. Whenever Instagram started, I've pretty much been there. If you click on my profile, it says joined in June 2014 or wherever it is. So I've been building it up slowly for 10 years. And I said to myself at the end of January, well, and it wasn't a cope. okay, it was a real thought. I thought, if I've lost those 500, they may have just been photographers or whoever that started following me when I posted my pictures. Now that they've seen a little bit of personality, they're not interested. So that's fine. If I lose those 500 people, it means that maybe the people who are still here, they actually want to see this stuff and they start interacting with it. So I thought, sod it, I'll just do another 30 days. So I did all of February. I posted every day in February. And I did it again in March. And then I went on holiday in April and I posted every day from holiday, 2 weeks. And I came back, and I think it was just a couple of days after that, I had one do well in the
That the
metrics of
holiday one, was that
success.
you were in the balcony and there was a
Yeah, that was
I
that
was
holiday.
I've been an OG. I think I started following you in like February.
So
So
that was one of those ones. That was I was posting. It's good that you said that one because I was posting daft stuff on holiday, and when that wedding happened in front of me, my first reaction was, "Oh my God, there's a wedding happening. I am having this for my portfolio." And I thought, do you know what? I bet you every photographer who goes on holiday who sees a wedding says, I'm going to get a
exactly.
few pictures from my portfolio here. So I thought I'll make this one. It'll be relatable, and that one did well for the time. I mean, I got a few thousand views, and people seemed to like it. And that was when the penny started to drop for me. That you know what, I actually like engaging with and being relatable other photographers because if I'm going out of business anyway, then I'm going to have a little laugh along the way. I'm going to relate to people. It's a bit of a shitty time. I felt like I started to see more and more posts about the general atmosphere of the wedding industry was a little bit shit early 2024. So I thought I'll go down, make people smile. Who cares? Let's just do it. Came back from holiday, and then I had one or two really take off, and I continued to post and I continued to post, and that's pretty much been 2024. It's just got bigger and bigger and bigger as I've carried on doing that. And halfway through the year, I kind of realized that there might actually be something in this for me because I'm enjoying it so much, and it's really turned my brain upside down, and the way that I look at the wedding industry now is completely different. I've had a complete, not 360 because that brings you back to the front. I've had a 180. I've had a 180 on.
Had a spiritual awakening.
Honestly, people almost roll their eyes when I say that, but I'm
No,
like,
but
no, no, you
they're not for
you don't
you.
believe.
We are pro woo in this space, so like we love a bit of woo here. But there's so many things you've just said that I wanted to touch on. But
Yeah,
the main thing is that it got really, really shit before it got good. And hand on heart, I think I can say this for me. I won't speak on your behalf, but the best thing of getting really shit is that when they get better, you appreciate it so much and you get so much joy from things being better.
yeah,
That is so motivating. You're like, I love this feeling. This is good. I'm going to stay on this positive train. And then it just sets you off on a really good path rather than being in the lull, the dark space with the bad
yeah,
vibes and the bad energy. I don't want to be there. I want to be on the woo train over here,
yeah,
staying in my own lane, being positive, all that stuff. That's where I want to be.
absolutely.
But you've sort of defined that. Like you were one of the first accounts for me that I thought this guy is just doing things the way that he wants to do it, and I just think you're amazing. So I'll stop fangirling over you now, Andrew.
Thank you, Faye.
So apart from, we must mention as well, if you haven't seen it, guys, you need to go and watch the reel. My favorite one is the one with all the wires. And then it there just keeps being more wires and more wires and more wires. I'll try and find it. Do you know which one I'm
Is
talking?
that the one where it electrocutes me at the end, or
Yeah, I
where
just
I'm
remember the
charging stuff?
music being really funny, and it was ironic because it was when I
Was
was
it
clearing out
Enya?
my studio.
I think it was Enya, wasn't it? It might be
Maybe
Enya,
that's
the
what, because I love
music.
Anya. Maybe that's why I loved it so much. But yeah, I just think you're. So, in terms of, we've covered quite a lot of this already.
Yeah, sorry if I've gone off piste, by the way.
Off-piste is
I
great. We
don't.
love off-piste. In terms of your brand, then now, you've been on this massive journey, but when people look at your work and they see your portfolio and the reels, what sort of words do you want people to be thinking? What sort of message are you wanting them to see when they look on you? I know
It's
that's a hard question.
it's a strange one because I'm wearing two hats at the moment, and my wedding photography, which has come back to life, I'm happy to say, and I've got the bookings in that I need. I'm still in love with what I've always been in love with, which is I think I'm pretty good at taking this organized chaos and without any direction or posing to create something a bit different and something that relies on the light and the shadow and the story. Always put the story above all else. I think I'm really good at that without having them do anything. And I know that it was a huge
By having them do anything, sorry, just help me understand. Do you still direct them, but you mean you don't want to get them into stiff poses? Do you give them any
yeah.
guidance?
So I
Like,
think
what's your approach
the
with
so
couples?
because I know the terminology for this, and I think it's prompts, isn't it? That's what we
Prompts,
call it
not
these
poses.
days. It's
Yeah, yeah.
prompts, not poses. So yes, I suppose I would give prompts as in I want them to head in that direction, or I want you to go no further than that tree, or I want you to head to there, and when you get there, just hang out together for 5 minutes. If I can do that, I will do it. However, I'm absolutely not averse to jumping in and moving them around if I think that there's a particularly cool photograph that I like to take. So that's why I've never been puritanical about the documentary stuff. But that's what I think that's my bread and butter. Is that the phrase?
Yeah.
That's where I think that's where my strength is. That's where I will explain to the couple that for the vast majority of the day, I don't want them to talk to me or look at me or do anything at all. I will create everything around them. And then the more pissed that they get, the more that I know I can get away with in the evening. And I might manipulate them slightly more and shove them into some cool lights and do stuff.
The vibe comes first. You're taking a step back until there's a space. If a space doesn't come up, you leave them to it. If it
Yes.
does, great. And I'm exactly the same. And it's funny, we've spoken a bit about putting ourselves into these boxes, which again is something that we all think we need to do to get clients. I would say I'm mostly documentary. I do exactly what you do for most of the day. Like I had a wedding yesterday. I was barely with the couple all day. But because when I am with them, I give them a bit of direction and prompts and stuff.
Yeah.
And I do get some more fashion-led stuff. I'm always hesitant to say I'm documentary because I don't want the witch hunt to come after me and be like, you're a fashion like that. No, no, no. Equally, I wouldn't put myself in a fashion box because most of my couples are completely normal. Like, I get all sorts of people. They don't fit into a box either.
Yeah.
And I think what something amazing that I've learned, sorry, my cat's just come to say hello, that whilst none of my couples fit into the same box, like I just share what I enjoy shooting. And then
That's
if
it.
all my different couples share that interest, they want to work with me. So they've got nothing in common apart from the fact that they love entertaining. They probably care about the details. They've spent a lot on the details and they don't want to be taking photos, but they want to be in some really cool photos.
Absolutely. I think we have the same mindset, Faye. When
Definitely.
I was busy being the best wedding photographer in the world back in 2017 or whatever it was, I used the phrase creative documentary photographer to
Yeah.
kind of cover this idea that for the vast majority of the day, I do nothing to you, but I will create these iconic images, and it left me room for the creativity as well. So if they're in the mood, we can do this, we can do that, do that. And the sad thing is that I called myself a creative documentary photographer. I put it on my website, but I became self-conscious that I never saw anybody else using that phrase. Doesn't this
Oh,
sound
I see what you're saying
crazy
now.
now?
Imposter syndrome. It's a
And
killer.
no
It's a
one
killer.
no one used this. It was documentary photographer, it was traditional photographer, it was fashion influence photographer, editorial photographer wasn't really a thing when I was looking. It was whatever it was. And this little phrase, creative documentary, I didn't see it anywhere else. So I panicked and stopped using it because I thought no one no one knows what I mean. So I'm just gonna take it away.
It's so insane to me
I
that we
need to
give
bring it
ourselves,
back.
yeah, you need to bring it back. But do you know what's weird? Like we give ourselves such a hard time to fit into a box, and then we give ourselves such a hard time for being in a box, and then it's like no one cares as much as we're living in our own heads rent free,
Yeah.
tearing ourselves down, telling ourselves that we don't fit in these spaces. Something that's helped me as someone that also struggles with that is just referring people to Google reviews. I'm
Yeah.
like, if you can just hear from other couples about how I've made them feel, I try to say as little as possible about my approach, let them go onto the Google reviews, and then if we have a call, I just try and listen. And you can just
Yeah.
tell if you're aligned straight away, can't you? And then I'll chat to them a bit more about my approach. But what I say depends on, I guess, what they've given me. But again, it's not with editorial. I say that I'm an editorial photographer because I know that couples who aren't in the industry to me, up to them, sorry, my pictures are editorial. So to get the right, like I might not identify with that, but I know that
Oh,
that's what
I
people
knew it. I knew
well,
it. Editorial
I'm a troll.
photographer. You're a
No, but
fraud.
I also like I
I
don't
know what you're
really
saying. I
identify
know
with
what you're saying.
I've got so many different personalities. Like how am I supposed to fit into one thing?
Absolutely.
But the bulk of my couples, that's what they would search for. So again, it's that balance of I don't need to be up on my, soapbox saying I'm this and I'm that. Ultimately, I just want the right people to find me. If that's what they're Googling, I'm not too proud to put it as my SEO. Do you know what I mean? It's not
Absolutely.
that deep to my
So I say to
couple.
them in the pub, I just take cool photos of what I like, and people seem to like them, and then they book me for another wedding. And that's once we get to the end of the meeting and I know that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I generally will say that's pretty much my outlook on that is my outlook on weddings. If I see something cool, I'm gonna take the picture of it.
You're basically saying that you found your own voice and you realized that the way to being happy in your business was just finding that voice and leaning into that stuff. So you were doing these reels, you started off in a place where you were just doing what you thought you had to do in the woods, pointing up at the sky, but the magic
Yeah,
started happening. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? It just makes me laugh because you're still doing those generic things, but you're putting your own point of view into it, and that's what people are connecting with.
I I
So,
I, th- I think I could definitely get away with pointing at things now.
no, you
Because
definitely
I
could.
know I'm gonna do my thing.
But that's the key, isn't it? It's like
That's it.
you putting your own spin on stuff and just injecting your own personality. And that's the bit that converts and makes people fall in love with you because they're like, I'm getting the real deal here. I'm getting this real personality. I'm not just getting a template, copy and paste.
Yeah,
Like there's a disconnect with the template. We need to be our true selves. And it's so woo. And
yeah,
it's the thing that everybody always says, but then none of us take our own advice. We're still trying to put ourselves in these boxes to appeal to
absolutely.
the masses.
We're
And that's
terrified of the opinions of our peers, and if I can give anyone any advice, I feel like I'm living proof of this at the moment in the little wedding photography world where everyone can feel stuck in their box. And it's not just that they're stuck, it's that they're afraid to come out of their box because of the judgment of their peers. They don't want to end up as a screenshot in a Facebook group. Well, I'm going to tell you now, I'm probably in a few Facebook groups with my stuff. I'm probably in a few WhatsApp groups with, have you seen what this knobhead's done? Have you seen this? Have you done that? I do not care anymore. I have found my voice. I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what every single one of my posts means to me. And it took a while. It took 12 months of experimentation and posting and getting over the fear and changing the mindset on how I was doing things so that it was not so much the success of the reel that meant anything. The metric of success, which I've mentioned in one of my reels actually, because it's one of the most important bits. But the metric of success is not likes, engagements, and shares. It's whether you posted the thing, because only by posting the thing will you get the data to see who you are. Is that me? Is that not me? Did it work? Did it not work? Okay, let's refine it. Let's go again. You can keep posting. If you post once a month, you will still get there. It will just take a lot longer. I posted every day for months and months and months, so perhaps my little journey to find my voice was accelerated slightly. But we've all got a voice, and you absolutely do not have to dance around and wear the chicken head and be crazy and dance with the blossoms in
you just need
public.
to find out what feels comfy for you and
Exactly.
know that that's enough
That
because
little something.
yeah, it's unique to you, isn't it? Exactly that.
Yeah. Anything that you love or that you're passionate about, whether that's awkward or you think it's cringy for other people to know that, well, that can be your superpower. That is your personality, all the experiences that you've had in life up to this point, all the hopes and the dreams and the loves and the shattered dreams, everything goes together to create your personality. And it doesn't mean you have to be funny. Follow some amazing accounts that are not funny at all, but I'm drawn into them and I will watch them and I follow them and I want to buy stuff off them even though they're not in my niche. I follow an elderly guy who does pen and ink drawings. I am not an artist. It's not my sphere, but I am so drawn in by his personality and his stories that every time they pop up,
How
I'm going to
nice is
watch
it?
them.
to watch somebody that's obsessed with what they do. And you probably all, if you really think about it, we all probably follow 20, 30, 40 accounts of people that have got nothing to do with our niche, nothing to do with
Yeah,
any. I follow running accounts. I'm not a runner. I just love the vibes. I love the chaos of the voiceover. Like, I don't know what it is, but I just
yeah,
really like love it and it brings me joy. And yeah, like we don't need to fit into a box or do this. We just need to be genuine about what we're talking about and talk
yeah,
a place that's real. And then we'll
absolutely.
connect with somebody that loves the same stuff.
Yeah. And you don't have to think that you're going to find this voice on the reel that you do, but you just got to start. And every now and again, you'll pick up on something and go, actually, that's a bit of me. I enjoy that.
And trends are showing us at the moment that what used to happen is people would speak to two or three photographers, they do one call with their favorite, and then they book them. Now people are leaving it really last minute until they book.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's 5, 6 months, and these are not necessarily really high budget weddings with planners. These are even the lower budget weddings. People are still taking longer to decide. They're following people on every social media platform.
Yeah.
They're watching everything for months, and it's so much harder to get somebody to convert unless you're showing off your personality, because otherwise they've got nothing to connect with.
Yes.
And you are the prime example of, if you just show up, you're yourself, you're going to find your people. Like, that's the message, isn't it? Just be yourself
Yes.
and you'll find your people.
The problem that I've got, if you want to hear a downside of it,
Go on.
is that I again, I'm not a business person and I've made a terrible business mistake if I want to keep on booking weddings, because I pivoted from talking to my couples and talking about weddings to talking to other creatives and other photographers. So weddings have come through in a roundabout way, but I stopped speaking to my couples and I started speaking to other photographers. So my business has shifted because I really enjoy what I was doing, and I thought that I actually liked helping people, and maybe I am going to move into this
I think
education
in terms of,
sphere.
but that's, I was going to ask you, like, in terms of next steps, like, because for example, I started in photo, then started with education, loved it, did more of education, then realized I missed photos. So now I do education for a few months of the year, but my bulk is my couples. But isn't that the
Yeah,
best thing about our businesses, that we get to decide the
yeah,
transition? And if you're not booking yourself out 2 years in advance, you get to change your mind, right? That's the best
absolutely.
thing.
But I think because a lot of people say, "Okay, Andrew, we see what you're doing on Instagram, and it's fantastic, but we want to book weddings, and we can see that you're not speaking to couples, so we can't do that. We can't do that." And I say, "No, no, you misunderstand. If what I'm shouting about is finding your personality and your voice, you have to be very clear on who you're speaking to and how you're speaking to them." So despite the fact that I am pivoting towards education, everything that I say applies to people finding their own voice in their niche. And the nice thing is that when you look at some of these big accounts, big photography influencer accounts, I'm just a little tiny one, but when you look at the bigger ones, they often will not be honest about who they are speaking to. And they create this illusion, as you said earlier, when we look at these big accounts and we think that we have to be like them, these lords of the wedding industry. They stopped targeting weddings a long time ago, and they are trying to sell their product
And
to
scale.
us. And I just wish that they would be a little bit more honest about that, because there are photographers like me a few years ago and photographers coming into the market who are looking at these big accounts and they think, God, they've got big numbers, they've got engagement, they're going on podcasts, they're doing all this. I'm a failure. I can't get these. I post my lovely wedding that I really loved and I can't get much
But then
engagement
they
on it.
might not have seen their girlfriend in 9 weeks, and you've picked the
Absolutely.
kids up from school every week. Like, success is a complete, like,
But
there's no set metric, is there?
the influencer accounts are not targeting weddings anymore. They're targeting us. For me, I'm very happy in saying that to people. I did my little workshop the other week and I said, I am very happy to tell you that you are here because I targeted you. I want to speak to you because I genuinely think I can help you get started. If you hold the couple, the client in your mind, if you put them first and put your personality towards telling them a story of why you're the photographer for them, tell them your story and it will work. It will work. If I went back to the beginning and I just wanted to photograph weddings, I
You
could absolutely do it. I
The
could
thing
do
is,
it now.
in the community, we've kind of glazed on this a little bit, but at the moment, people don't need more content. There's content everywhere. What the community is craving at the moment is vulnerability, connection. There's a lot of burnout. There's a lot of people that are very stressed about cost of living behind closed doors. So your service, because you're appealing to those people, it's perfect. You're solving their problems because they need an escape and they need a positive twist. Whereas if
Yeah.
we're appealing to our couples, that's different. Sorry, my cat's now trying to eat the laptop. If we're appealing to our couples, they've got different problems that need to be solved. So what you're saying is completely valid. It's just about finding your voice and then how you're going to use that voice to authentically solve the problems of
Yeah.
people that you want to help, right? Which
Yeah.
is so simple. So why do we put all these bloody bells and whistles and like,
I got asked, or I get asked in 2017. I really sound like an influencer then. When people message me and they ask me things, they always say, and at the workshop they said, okay, so leave all the crazy stuff behind. How would you do it again then? How would you do things differently? And it's for me, it's dead easy. I know exactly what I do. We are photographers or we're videographers. We take our pictures that we love, and I would sit there and I would talk about a particular picture that I've taken, and I'd describe why it's important to me, and I'd
which is
describe
fucking amazing because this is
the
exactly what I told them to do before you came
oh
on.
well, there we go. That's it. It's so simple. These pictures are the
Sorry for
most
staring at
important
you,
things.
Andrew.
That's okay. And I say in different versions of this to everyone who asks, but I say just if you can't find that spark inside yourself, look at your favorite picture, think about why you love it, and just that's what I talk about. You don't have to even talk. You could use little subtitles and have some nice music playing and
Yeah.
just do a little video of you working at your computer. But every photographer could do that, and you would have a million different results every time because although it might be a trend, as in, oh, it's a photographer talking about their photographs, every photograph's going to be different.
What
You're
you
going to have
love
a
is
different
going to be
opinion on
informed
it.
by, yeah, your life. Like no one else is going to have had the same journey up to this moment than you have, right? So
Yeah.
that's
And
what's
you
going to connect
you
with
you love
people.
this picture because the bride told you that the dress was split up here and she loved the detail on it and she loved this particular window, so that's where you put her, and you told her to do this because you are in love with the light that comes from this direct, and you can build that up, and then someone else could do it completely differently. So I could say, as a documentary photographer, I didn't want to get involved with this at all, but I could see the light shining through these trees. And I knew that the flower girls were coming along because they were doing something over there. And I knew if I waited here and then look, they've gone through the rays of light. And this is the image that I want to share with you today. And I'd just leave it at that with the nice music. And then everyone can do a different
You
one.
can you can even take it one step further by like really showing off the relationship that you've got with the clients. Like I make a really big point of getting to know my couples as much as possible throughout the pro. We have a WhatsApp chat, so I knew how close Sarah was to her goddaughter, and I knew that I was going to be naturally focusing on this person throughout the day. I've
Yeah,
also got my own goddaughter, blah blah blah. I won't bore you, but that's the thing. You're making connections and
exactly.
you're showing off your personality, but also how much you care about the couple getting a gallery that they're obsessed with. And if you talk about those relationships, something that's massively like launched my career massively is focusing on how each gallery is different to the client. So in all of my brand messaging, in all of my brochures, everything in the chats that I have with couples, I say, not one of my galleries is the same. My priority throughout this process is our relationship. I'm
Fabulous.
reactive on
Yeah.
the day. The more we get to know each other, that's how I think that's informed how I
Yeah.
focus, and that's that. Thank you so much, Andrew. You've been amazing. Like
No
it's
worries.
thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
having me on.